I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Friday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are closing out the week with us. A Friday evening that finds the Sweet 16 continuing. A couple of good ones. In fact, Tennessee has kind of jumped on top of Kentucky early. 19-11 Volunteers. And a really good one at the end of the first half. Ole Miss and Michigan State. Ole Miss had got out to a 10-point lead. Michigan State has closed that gap. Ole Miss leads 33-31 with 3 seconds left in the first half. We'll keep you updated, of course, later on tonight. Houston and Purdue. I still think that is wild that Houston is the number one seed in that region, and they're essentially playing a road game tonight in Indianapolis, Indiana, against the Purdue Boilermakers. And then you also have a big one between Michigan and Auburn. Keep in mind, if Florida wins tomorrow and if Auburn wins their next two games, you will have Florida and Auburn next Saturday in San Antonio for the Final Four. How good would that be? And we are 3 wins away from that happening, 2 for Auburn. Florida just needing 1 win tomorrow night against Texas Tech. We're going to talk a lot about Florida and the Texas Tech Red Raiders tomorrow night. In fact, we're going to go out to San Francisco coming up here in about 15 minutes. My buddy Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun, Gatorsports.com, is out in the Bay Area covering the Florida Gators. We'll get Kevin on in between media sessions to just basically talk about the scene out there, talk about Alex Condon and his status, talk about the comeback last night that Texas Tech did in knocking out John Calipari and Arkansas, and how this game shapes up for Florida. Again, the Gators 1 win away from returning to the Final Four. It would be the first time since 2014 that the Gators would be in a Final Four. And overall, I believe it would be their 6th Final Four appearance. 94, 2000, 05, 06, and 14. So this would be the 6th appearance in the Final Four, the first in a decade, if Todd Golden and the Gators can get it done tomorrow night. Also, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, joins us later on in the 9 o'clock hour. We will certainly talk some Jacksonville Jaguars and some NFL draft as we sit now 27 days away from the NFL draft. Thursday night, April the 24th, at least round number 1. Shane Hallam, NFL draft analyst for Draft Sharks. I've had Shane on for years. We will talk Jaguars. We will talk their draft outlook with Shane Hallam. That comes up later on here in the 8 o'clock hour. We're absolutely jam-packed. We're with you till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we are thrilled that you are choosing to spend part of your Friday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
You know, for those that have listened to me for a while, you know, if nothing else, I'm pretty consistent in my constant glass half empty, constant, some would call it negativity. I like to call it reality, but I can understand if you call it negativity. My pessimism about local teams that I cover / support, whether that's the Orlando Magic, whether that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, whether that's the Florida Gators. I'm never one to think, yeah, they're going to beat the tar out of this team or they're going to beat the tar out of that team. That's what you learn in covering / supporting the Orlando Magic for 30 years. And that's what you learn covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for 30 years. They don't beat the tar out of anybody. More times than not, they get the tar beaten out of them. And I guess it's built into my DNA for the residue of the Magic and the Jaguars to kind of rub off on the Gators for me and be kind of a negative guy when it comes to thoughts about future games. And as I was doing the award-winning Gator Bites podcast earlier today, myself and Graham Marsh, every Friday morning on the 1010XL social media platforms, Graham asked me my thoughts about tomorrow night's game with Texas Tech, and I hadn't really thought about it until that exact moment. And I said it right off the cuff, and I can't remember the last time I've said something like this when it revolves around Gator basketball. You probably have to go back to the back-to-back national title teams, would be my guess. I think Florida is going to wear out Texas Tech tomorrow night. I think this might be a woodshed game. I don't have any trepidation at all about Florida winning this game tomorrow night and advancing to the Final Four. And if this comes back to bite me, so be it. If this soundbite or video or wherever you're consuming this comes back to bite me, so be it. Wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong, won't be the last. But I got to tell you, man, watching the Gators and really watching Texas Tech, equal measures of both again, I don't know if that's a game tomorrow night with 10 minutes to go in the second half. I think Florida is due for a breakout performance. I don't believe they've played particularly well, even though they've won 3 NCAA tournament games. I think Texas Tech will be emotionally drained after one of the largest comebacks in Sweet 16 history, down 16 with 10 minutes to go, coming back and winning that game in overtime. It's such a quick turnaround for both teams. And, oh, by the way, Florida is just vastly superior in pretty much every facet to Texas Tech. I absolutely think Florida is going to beat Texas Tech to death tomorrow night. And I think Gator Nation will be celebrating their 6th trip to the Final Four, and they will be booking their reservations for San Antonio. Hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, maybe I'll never have this positivity again. Because Denmark, I think you can attest, this is far, far outside my character. More times than not, Graham was shocked this morning on the Gator Bites podcast because I'm never this guy that boldly predicts the team that we cover is going to do something like this. And Denmark, I'm curious if you agree or not. I just think Florida is going to wear the Red Raiders out tomorrow night.
Yeah, before the game started yesterday, I'm talking about the Arkansas-Texas Tech. I would have much rather played Arkansas, but having watched that Arkansas game play out, Arkansas was the better team, and they let one get away. And I think Arkansas would have matched up better against Florida. Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech is just such on a high. I mean, you come back 16-3 run to end the game, and now you have to come back less than 48 hours and play another big game. I think Florida wins comfortably tomorrow.
Heck, the game ended at 1 a.m. Eastern time this morning. That game ended this morning, basically. So they got to turn around, was that 41 hours. They got 41 hours after that comeback. Florida and Texas Tech will be on the court tomorrow. In fact, the game will be basically wrapping up this time tomorrow. It's a 6:09 Eastern tip. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. And Denmark, as a Gator alum, the orange and blue blood pumping through your veins, I'm curious, if Todd Golden leads this team to a Final Four in year number 3, I mean, obviously, you got, in whatever order you want to put them in, I would say Steve Spurrier is probably at the top. I'd say Billy Donovan is probably second. Urban Meyer is probably third. I'm just talking about the big sports. I mean, if you want to include Kevin O'Sullivan, I got no problem with that. I know it's only 3 years in, but if Golden leads them to a Final Four, I mean, are we already talking about one of the 4 or 5 best coaches from the big 3 sports in Florida history?
He's could be 5. I wouldn't put him ahead of O'Sullivan yet.
Oh, I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. It depends if you include O'Sullivan or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you put O'Sullivan in there, those he's not above them yet.
Now, I guess the question is for older Gator fans, Lon Kruger also took Florida to a Final Four back in 1994, the Find a Way team. You had good Gator teams before that in the 80s with, Neil Walk. That was before the 80s. Vernon Maxwell, Dwayne Shinsis. But I got to tell you, man, if Golden goes to the Final Four in just his 3rd year, he's not Spurrier, he's not Billy, he's not Urban, and he's not O'Sullivan. I think there's a conversation that he's already 5th among the big 3. I think you could definitely have that conversation that he would already be 5th in coaching history at the University of Florida at just a very, very short sample size. Let's go to San Francisco. Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun, Gatorsports.com is on the scene in the Bay Area. In between media sessions out there, let's talk Florida, let's talk Texas Tech, let's talk Alex Condon, let's talk Gator fans' support in San Francisco. I thought it was very good last night. And let's talk about this Elite Eight game. What would it mean? What would it take for Florida to find a way? Channel your 1994 Gator fandom to find a way back to the Final Four in San Antonio. Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun in San Francisco joins us next on a Friday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
There was a time when the hard-working people of Jacksonville needed something to look forward to.
Let the games begin!
1010XL. We didn't invent sports, just sports radio.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action and secure your place in line for the stadium of the future with your 2025 season ticket membership. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case, plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the king of beers to Stella or a natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court: the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Mia O'Brien
is going to be the first woman president of the United States of America.
Catch me weekdays from noon to 2 on Helmets and Heels.
And she could run later this year even, and I would vote for her.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota on 1010XL.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all, from mowing, edging, fertilizer to irrigation and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out. You need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
ET here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
Dick in here, beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Last night, the Florida Gators took it to Maryland 87-71. Florida advances to the Elite Eight for the first time since 2017. They will play Texas Tech tomorrow night, a game you will hear right here on 1010XL, with the winner advancing to San Antonio and the Final Four next weekend. Let's go out to San Francisco. My buddy Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun out there covering the Florida Gators, and Kevin's taking some time out for us here on 1010XL. Kevin, how we doing?
I'm doing good, Hacker. Good to be on.
Hey, Kevin, we always appreciate it. All right, the first half last night, I don't know if it could have gone much worse. Alex Condon gets hurt. Hanlockton gets 3 fouls in what seemingly appeared to be like 2 minutes. And the Gators had 13 turnovers in one half of play, and yet they were still winning the game at halftime. And, Kevin, I was on the air last night during the game, and I said, I don't think Maryland has a prayer of winning this game if Florida is winning after a first half like that. And that turned out to be exactly right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they jumped out 20-9, so they built a little cushion before they got a little sloppy there, and that kind of let Maryland back in the game. But, you know, the one constant, Ryan, was they were dominant on the boards the whole night, and you felt like, you know, even if they were missing shots and even if they were turning over, they were going to get those second chance opportunities, and they outscored them 21-9. You know, in the second half, they kind of got it together and got in gear, and I think, you know, Condon coming back, even though he didn't play much in the second half, gave him a little lift, you know, got that post-rotation back in order. You know, Micah did have the foul trouble. But when you have 4 bigs, you know, you can afford that and weather that a little bit. Tommy Houck played terrific, you know, and Denzel Aberdeen off the bench, too. One of the, you know, other big stories was just the bench production overall, 29-3. You knew coming in that Maryland wasn't as deep a team, and that really showed itself. And again, you know, wearing down a team in the final 10 minutes and putting them away, and that's what Florida's been doing throughout the season.
And Walter Clayton didn't have to be Walter Clayton. I know he hit a couple of threes in the first half. Those were the only 2 field goals that he made. I mean, Kevin, when you can win a game by 16 and Walter Clayton Jr. makes 2 field goals, that's probably a really good sign moving forward.
Yeah, and it's really the balance, you know, in terms of, you know, having 6 guys in double figures in that game. I mean, Ruben Chinyelu, I thought, stepped up a little bit as well and, you know, had some open dunks in the second half, and that kind of got him going. And, you know, there's just multiple options on this team that could score, and they're unselfish. You know, kind of a throwback group. It reminds you of the 06-07 team that way, even the 14 team. Those are the teams that are successful, the teams that where you've got a lot of balance and you've got a lot of different scoring threats. It just really stresses the defense and makes it a lot harder to guard. And I think that kind of wore on Maryland, you know, during the course of that game on Thursday night. And Florida, you know, played it to the tee. They shared the ball, and you have bench guys that could step up. It adds to a pretty good recipe. You don't need, Walter Clayton to have that superhuman game every night.
Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun out in San Francisco. The Elite Eight tomorrow night. Florida, Texas Tech, the winner to the Final Four. Kevin, we saw Alex Condon leave the game with what appeared to be an ankle sprain, the same ankle that he injured against Mississippi State earlier in the year. He then came back in the second half, a gigantic sigh of relief for Gator Nation. I would imagine Condon's fine for tomorrow night, correct?
Yeah, it appears that way. I mean, we're going to go to the arena in a few hours, but I would think that, the training staff will probably do a good job with it, and he'll be, I would guess ready to go. It didn't seem as severe as it originally looked when he was hobbling off. I think he stepped on Denzel Laberty's foot. It was kind of after a missed shot, and Florida was trying to push the ball up the floor. But, he went back in the locker room. He went on the stationary bike. He worked it out. And I do think that, he had a block in the second half, did some things, had one turnover, almost had another one, but Micah Hamilton made a miraculous play to get that ball in the basket. So I think with a little rest, a little ice, they're going to practice today. We'll know more, but I would have a feeling he'd be ready to go.
You look at that atmosphere last night. I was genuinely curious. Maryland, Florida, you couldn't get more East Coast than those two playing in San Francisco. Yet it looked like the arena had a lot of juice last night. How was the fan base?
It was good, and I would say it was 50-50. A lot of Gator fans showed up. The Bay Area does have like a Gator club here. As the Florida alumni base spreads far and wide. They say the Gator Nation is everywhere. And I thought it was a good crowd for Florida in that game. I mean, I thought it was equal to Maryland. There were a lot of Arkansas fans here, and they're all going home now because of that, collapse in the second half against Texas Tech. And there don't seem to be as many Texas Tech fans here, so I think that'll work to Florida's advantage on Saturday.
A couple more for Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun. Let's go to Saturday into Texas Tech. What a comeback by the Red Raiders. I mean, first and foremost, was that a collapse by Arkansas, in your opinion? A great comeback, equal measures of both? How would you assess it?
I'd say equal measures of both. I mean, Arkansas had a couple of chances at the free throw line. John L. Davis, that tie-up was really big near the end of the game on that rebound instead of, getting fouled up 6. But I do think that, Texas Tech showed a lot of resolve. Grant McCaslin, their coach, is a good young coach. And he kind of kept them believing when they were down 16, kept on telling them, hey, we're going to win this game. And they showed through. I mean, JT Toppin, Big 12 Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year. He's going to be a tough cover for Florida. And, certainly one of their guards, Chance McMillan, there's a chance that he could come back. He's been out the last 4 games with an oblique sprain, and he would give them a little, perimeter scoring if he does come back, which I think Texas Tech would need. I mean, they were 8 of 32 from 3, so they didn't shoot the ball great throughout the game with Arkansas, but they kind of made them when they needed them. And that's a sign of a team that has some clutch ability and a little belief in them.
Kevin, I hate the way that I feel about this, and I'll admit that because it almost gives me a lot of negative vibes because I'm never, ultra positive guy, glass half full guy. I think I'm as pessimistic as they come with somebody that covers the University of Florida. Yet I look at this matchup tomorrow night. I look at how Florida's played in the first 3 games, clearly not their best, and yet they're here in the Elite Eight. At some point, it's going to come together for Florida, and they're going to look like they did in the SEC tournament. Man, I'm really, really confident in the Gators tomorrow night. I think it's going to take an all-world effort by Texas Tech. What's your thought there?
Yeah, I think they've played 3 good halves of basketball. You could say the first half of the Norfolk State game, the second half of the UConn game, and it really came together the second half of the Maryland game. And if they can carry that over and, play 2 more good halves like that, I mean, they scored, I believe it was 11 of their 16 baskets in the second half on assists. So they were just moving, sharing the ball really well. If they can play like that in the second half and get off to a good start. I mean, turnovers have really hurt the last 2 games in the first half. I mean, they turned it over 8 times in the first half against UConn and 13 in the first half against Maryland. So they've got to come out with a little urgency protecting the ball. I think, Ruben Chiniello had a funny line yesterday. He said, we have to learn to love the basketball, treat it like a cake. What I mean? So I think that's the key. And if they do that, they should be fine. And their depth is, like I said before, I mean, I think that's what's really showing the most in this tournament. The fact that, you can bring in Tommy Houck and, Denzel Aberdeen off the bench, and there's really no drop off. So, I mean, this is a team that's 8 or 9 deep with Klafshire and Hanlogden as well. And I think that's ultimately what's going to carry them to the Final Four. I really think they're going to get there.
Kevin, as we begin to wrap up, again, it's hard to know a lot about these opponents that come at you so quick, and certainly we don't know a lot about Texas Tech. I did a little research last night and this morning. I mean, their resume's good, right? They're like 27-8. I mean, they're a 3 seed. They're obviously a good team, but I look at who they've beaten. They've got a couple of really nice wins. I don't want to poo-poo it, but they haven't beaten a lot of good teams. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say in terms of, the Big 12, Houston is obviously a very tough team. But if you compare the Big 12 to the SEC this season, I mean, I think Florida being in the SEC, I mean, they've really weathered the storm in terms of, and look at the number of SEC teams that are left. And, we came very close to having an all SEC Elite 8 here with Florida and Arkansas. And, you got an all SEC Sweet 16 matchup tonight with Kentucky and Tennessee. So I think that just tells you that, Florida has been through a lot of battles in the SEC, and they've been one of the best teams. And they won the SEC tournament. They came in second overall in the league behind Auburn. And, really, if you take a look at the balance of the schedules and the fact that Florida beat Auburn head to head, I mean, that tells you they're right up there with them. So, I've predicted, 3 SEC teams in the Final Four. I think Florida, Auburn, and Tennessee are going to get there. All 3 of them are still alive. So that'd be the first time since the Big East in '85. We'll see if that happens.
Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun, out in San Francisco. Kevin, final thoughts. Look, you cover this team as close as anybody, and you've done so for years. You saw the great Billy teams. You obviously are seeing now the great Todd Golden team. If I would have told you back on Halloween that Florida on March the 29th, would be 1 win over Texas Tech away from going to the Final Four, I mean, what would you have said? Is this even a surprise to you?
I would have believed it. I thought all along this was a second weekend team. I wasn't quite sure it was a Final Four team, but it's worked out to be that way. I think they're in really good position to get to San Antonio. So we'll see. But, this tournament's so fragile, right? One bad half or if it spills in the second half. I mean, the UConn game facing the 2-time defending national champions and being down 6 in the second half, I think that showed the resolve of this team. And that's why I don't think there was any panic in the first half of Maryland, even though they turned the ball over 13 times and were only leading 40-38. I think they just have an air of confidence about them right now as the number 1 seed, where they feel like they're going to get the job done. And I think they will.
Kevin, we mentioned the Gainesville Sun, certainly your coverage here in Jacksonville as well. We hear you at all the press conferences out there in San Francisco. What can people look forward to in the coming 24 hours or so leading into tip-off?
Yeah, Gatorsports.com, Gainesville.com, our scouting report for the Texas Tech game is up. We'll have a lot more. Certainly, I've got a little story I'm working on now just on Bennett Anderson, the walk-on who scored at the end of the game. And, he's got coaching aspirations, which is really interesting because there's kind of a lineage of former student managers that have gone through the Florida program. Dusty May, who worked under Bobby Knight at Indiana, and Matt McCall and Billy Donovan, that have become head coaches. So maybe Bennett Anderson will be the next guy we hear from in 10 or 20 years. You never know.
It's a great story. And boy, you talk about the closeness of this team. You piqued my interest there really quick. Anderson has scored 2 buckets with under 30 seconds to go, basically, in blowout games. And the reaction of his teammates, and you see that reaction a lot with this team. I mean, the closeness of this team, Kevin, that has a lot to do with what's going on right now, correct?
I agree. Yeah, there's a chemistry there. I think they find joy in each other's, success, and it shows on the court and how unselfish they play. Like I said, the throwback group, and that's a big part of winning in college basketball. And Todd is, he's brought in transfers, but he's also developed a little bit of a core. When you look at, Will Richard being here 3 years as a transfer, Walter Clayton Jr. 2 years, Hauck and Condon are here 2 years. And I think having that combination of the talent from the transfer portal, but also a little bit of a core and experience and how they play together on the floor, I think that's played really well so far in March for him.
Kevin Brockway, Gatorsports.com, the Gainesville Sun out in San Francisco. Kevin, terrific job. Thank you for taking time out. Safe travels home, and I certainly hope we're talking to you next week, getting ready to head to San Antonio.
Anytime. Thank you.
Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun and Gatorsports.com with us here on 1010XL. It's a confident group of Gators, and they should be. because, again, I don't think they've played anywhere close to their capabilities really the entire tournament. I mean, Norfolk State, you go through the motions, right? That is what it is. It's a 1 versus a 16. And then the UConn game, if you watch that game, I think even the most diehard Gator fan will tell you UConn outplayed Florida for a vast majority of that game. The Gators probably got lucky to win it. Now, Florida did what they needed to do to win it with 3 minutes and under to go. Walter Clayton, Will Richard, Elijah Martin took over the game in the last 3 minutes. But leading up to that, boy, UConn was right there with the Gators. And then last night, I don't think Florida played particularly well. They played, in fact, poor in the first half. And yet it didn't matter. They win going away from Maryland. That's a Maryland team that won 24 regular season games, I believe. 14 wins in the mighty Big Ten. And Florida had no problem with them. So, again, Texas Tech tomorrow night. The other game tomorrow, boy, what a game this is going to be. Duke and Alabama. Duke wins a game last night where they had to score 100 and held on to beat Arizona. Alabama, I hope, saved some three-pointers because I hope they didn't unleash all of them last night on the poor souls of BYU. Alabama set an NCAA tournament record last night, hitting 25 three-point shots in a 113-88 victory over BYU. So I was telling Denmark this. So, all right, depending on how the games go tonight, but you could have, and again, Ole Miss is trying to upset the party here. They lead Michigan State by 3 with about 16 minutes to go. But everybody was so up in arms about Florida being the 4th number 1 seed. Oh, that's ludicrous. We should have been the top overall seed, or we were better than Houston, or we had a better resume than Duke. Why are we the 4th number 1 seed? Well, think about this for a second. Duke has to play Alabama tomorrow. Auburn, if Auburn wins over Michigan, they potentially could have to play Michigan State or a red-hot Ole Miss team. And Houston has to beat Purdue in Indianapolis tonight, which is a true road game, and then likely going to have to play Tennessee, who's up 16 on Kentucky right now. Even though the Gators and the Gator fans were all so upset by being the 4th number 1 seed, turned out that you probably have the easiest road to the Final Four. I didn't think St. John's was very good anyway as the 2. You didn't even have to see them. You had to go through UConn, which might be your toughest game. Maryland should prove to be no challenge. And now you get Texas Tech tomorrow. Let me ask you something. Would you rather be Florida playing Texas Tech or Duke playing Alabama? Would you rather Houston playing a road game against Purdue tonight in Indianapolis than potentially Tennessee, or Florida playing Texas Tech? And then finally, would you rather be Florida playing Texas Tech or Auburn having to play Michigan and then potentially Michigan State or Ole Miss? So it turns out belly aching and whatnot probably was a lot of wasted time by all parties, myself included, because the 4th number 1 seed turned out to be a pretty good seed for the Florida Gators, the way things have played themselves out. 2 Sweet 16 games going on right now. We mentioned Ole Miss trying to wreck the party a little bit. How about the Rebels? They lead Michigan State 42-39, 15 minutes to go in the second half. Ole Miss already with wins over North Carolina and Iowa State, beating an ACC team, beating a Big 12 team, trying to add a Big 10 team to that resume. They're up 3 with 15 minutes to go. And, boy, Tennessee, man, they look good. Early. Well, it's not really that early. It's almost halftime, quite frankly.
It is halftime.
It is halftime. All right. So is it 41-23 still?
43-29.
43-29. All right. So mine's updating a little bit. So Tennessee up 14 at the half, 43-29 over Kentucky. Kentucky hit a couple of threes in the final minute then to get it a little closer. But nevertheless, the Volunteers take a 14-point lead into the locker room. Again, if Tennessee holds on to win, they will get the winner of Purdue and Houston. That game comes up later on tonight. Also, Michigan and Auburn comes up later on tonight. The winner of that game gets the winner of Ole Miss and Michigan State. We will keep you updated. Coming up next, back into the National Football League, back in to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 27 little days from right now. Roger Goodell is going to stand at that podium and put the Tennessee Titans on the clock in the NFL draft. The Jaguars on that night, Thursday, April the 24th, hold the number 5 overall pick. They have 10 picks overall, 6 in the top 125 or so. One of my draft guys who's been so for years is Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. Let's talk the overall draft class. Let's certainly talk Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and let's focus on Jacksonville, the number 5 overall pick. Also positions of need for the Jaguars heading into the draft that, again, is only 27 days away. It is a Friday night here on Hacker After Dark. We're glad you're with us. 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks joins us next.
Your home for Gators hoops is 1010XL.
The Gators find themselves an elite company. Florida tangles with Texas Tech for a trip to the Final Four. Saturday at 6 on 1010 AM.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Young Lives is a nonprofit helping teen moms flourish in their communities with the help of support and love. Join Young Lives at Topgolf Sunday, March 30th from 2 to 5 for their community fundraiser. Sponsor or learn more at jacksmetroyounglives.younglife.org.
Go fishing for your share of more than $40,000 in cash and prizes at the Wolfson Children's Hospital Bass Tournament. Register by May 13th.
You can help Micah's Place support domestic violence victims by playing in the Par for a Purpose Golf Tournament June 20th at the stunning Golf Club of Amelia Island. Register at micahsplace.org/golf.
Her Song is a nonprofit organization that breaks the cycle of human trafficking through survivor care, victim outreach, and education. Find out how you can help at hersong.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
This is Mike Lynch, PGA Golf Professional. Take it from me, if you're dealing with an orthopedic issue, talk to the doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where you're treated like a pro.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros. Thanks to all of you who have allowed us to be part of your recovery. Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists if you ever have a need.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what Wonderworld wants you to do. Wonderworld knows there are other window companies out there.
But we also know those other guys. When compared to Window World, they can't offer you the quality at the price that Window World can.
And with Window World, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Window World and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Window World, and to top it off, Window World windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Window World. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Window World today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World. Simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Learn more about the beautiful game of soccer and its impact on the River City.
What a beautiful thing to behold.
Get an hour of soccer talk on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour.
That's all I want to know.
Tuesday at 6 p.m. on 1010 a.m.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And look on the calendar. We are now inside of 1 month away from the NFL draft up in Green Bay next month, April 24th, 25th, and 26th. Of course, the Jaguars, 10 picks overall, 6 in the top 125, including that number 5 overall selection. Let's talk about it with Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. He's covered the draft for years, and Shane's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Shane, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we are a month out. I can't believe it. It's getting close, and pro days are happening, and we're starting to get some real clarity on this class.
You know, you and I last spoke right around the combine, and certainly a lot has changed since then, and that what's changed in a large part with a lot of these teams is free agency. And Shane, for a guy like you that's put out, mock drafts for years, and you study this thing every day, how does free agency kind of change your opinion on things with a month to go before the draft?
It helps a lot, and I think a lot of people expect, free agency happens and these teams pick up guys or cross them off the board, cross that position off, they're done. But unless they're spending big money on someone, unless we're talking about, the Laramie Tunsil trade and Washington getting a left tackle or something like that, a lot of these 1, 2, even 3-year deals often is teams are looking at that position. They want to upgrade. You don't know what's going to happen in the draft. So you need a backup option. You need someone to fall back to if you don't get that position of value in the draft. So a lot of times for me, doing mock drafts, it helps me clarify what these teams are going to do. They're telling you up front, hey, we signed this running back to a 1-year deal just in case, Javonte Williams to the Cowboys, just in case we don't get one in the draft, we have an option. And I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand when they think you're just crossing off positions teams won't look at. Now, these are the positions teams are going to look at in the draft if they sign guys short term.
Shane, it's interesting that you put it that way because right here in Jacksonville, the Jaguars, I believe, were the most active team. They brought in 10 outside free agents, but they really didn't spend big money, or what you would call big money, on a lot of these guys, and most of these deals are for a year or two. When you look at what the Jaguars did in free agency, does that affect your thought process on them, or is it like you said, that you still think they're going to do kind of what it looks like they were going to do beforehand?
Yeah, I think they are a perfect example of that kind of moniker where you have the Jaguars addressing your interior of the offensive line. It's something that they can still look at in the draft. Picking up Diami Brown at wide receiver, I think it's still a big need. But if they don't draft one, this wide receiver group is fine. Safety and Eric Murray and nickel and Jordan Lewis, the two positions that we have them pegged to draft, I think are still high on the board. But if they don't get someone, these two players are serviceable, right? I think it's exactly what the Jaguars did, was fill those holes just in case. But I think you'll see a lot of those same positions be doubled up in the draft.
Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. Of the 10 guys that have been brought in, Shane, no one in the front 7 of the defense and primarily the front 4 of the defensive line. Does that lead the mind to wonder if Mason Graham is their number 1 target?
I think that's what that says, right? I mean, that number 5 pick, you're not really messing around here. And I think the Jaguars have a good idea right now of where that top 5 of the draft looks. And Kenneth Grant seems like the most likely option for them at 5. I think if someone falls, there's plenty of possibilities. They'll probably take calls to move down. But Grant's one of those players where you move down 4 or 5 spots and then he's gone. So if you really want to have that impact front 7 player who can play inside, who can play outside, who you can move around the formation, I think is what they're severely lacking. I think Grant is the strongest possibility and probably the one player in the top 5 in terms of match to the Jaguars that I feel most confident about right now.
You know, I think conventional thinking is both quarterbacks, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, and we'll certainly talk about those guys in a moment. But at number 5, if that's the way it plays out, and Mason Graham and, say, Will Campbell are both available, could you see the Jaguars having a struggle with that, or do you still think they would go defense in that scenario?
I think they go defense in that scenario. I think you take some thought there for, possibly for Campbell. I think we're also seeing some of the tides turn in terms of offensive line at the top. Armand Membo from Missouri is now the favorite to be the first offensive lineman off the board. I think he's probably a higher possibility than Campbell, but ultimately I think this offensive line group in this draft is good enough that Graham's worth a pick there.
Cam Ward, we're a month out. Do you believe he'll be the number 1 pick to the Tennessee Titans?
If I had to bet right now, I'd say yes, but I still think it's more a 55, 30 scenario with 15% that they trade it. But I think they need to get blown away with an offer, and I don't think there's a team willing to do that this year. So I think that's the smart play, is to take Ward. I do think he's worth the number 1 overall pick. He's the only quarterback that I really love in this draft. I don't love any of the other ones. I think Abdul Carter makes a lot of sense for the defense that they're running. And I think if there wasn't a quarterback worth taking, despite the Harold Landry, losing him, I think Carter is an interesting piece, but it's tough to pass in that quarterback. So I give about 55% here for Cam Ward to be the number 1 pick to the Titans.
You've certainly studied a lot of quarterbacks in your time covering the draft. Obviously, we're very interested here in Jacksonville to what Tennessee does, being in the division. What do you think of Cam Ward? Anyone you would compare him to?
I compare him to Deshaun Watson, kind of the as a prospect, the older, not current, but original Deshaun Watson in Houston, where you have a player who can make plays with his feet that really extends the play inside and outside the pocket, but has just that knack of how to read a defense, where to go with the football. And the thing with Cam Ward is he improved as the year went on. I thought that was really important as he adjusted to the new offense. He's played in multiple different offenses in his college career, has a ton of experience that way. I think he's someone who could be a superstar, has that type of potential with the right tools around him and weapons around him, which I'm not sure Tennessee has at the moment.
Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. Now, you mentioned you're not necessarily high on Shedeur Sanders. Do you believe, Shane, though, that either Cleveland or, say, the New York Giants are high enough on him to draft him in the top 4?
Tough to say. I think they are doing their due diligence, both those teams, and seeing if Shedeur is someone they want to take in the top 5. I'm starting to lean, from what I'm hearing, that he will not be a top 5 selection. Which may be bad news for Jaguars fans, where you could have a team maybe interested in a Kenneth Grant or an offensive lineman in that top 5. But, I think when you look at like the Giants and what they like to do with that Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito style quarterback who can move around the pocket, can run a little bit, that has that mobility. Sanders certainly, I think, has it, but when he comes into the league, he's going to be only the one of 2 current quarterback starters that had negative rushing yards in college, Jared Goff being the only other one. That doesn't bode well for modern NFL offenses like what the Giants are running. And I think that's going to be very difficult maybe to overcome and say we're staking our franchise on this player.
We've talked a lot here in Jacksonville, Shane, about Ted McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. People were high on him, then they were low on him. Now it appears after that 40-yard dash last week, they're high on him again. What do you think of McMillan and potentially working alongside a guy like Brian Thomas Jr.?
I think he could be a very good number 2. When you have a Brian Thomas, I think Ted McMillan definitely fits really well. I mean, that 4.48 at his size is impressive, would give them another really interesting option on the right side for Trevor Lawrence. I just think with McMillan, he had the injury this past offseason, is still a little bit lean. Maybe isn't like this ideal receiver that you're looking for. Maybe you're hoping for, a T. Higgins, who I think is a top 20 receiver in the NFL, or is a great number 2 there in Cincinnati. But is that something you're going to invest a number 5 overall pick on? I don't think so. If the Jags move down, then I think Ted McMillan comes into play.
For your thoughts on Jacksonville post-free agency, what do you still have as some of their biggest needs on the roster?
Look, I still think, we talked about interior defensive line. I think that's still going to be a major need for them. I think that secondary, despite the additions in free agency, needs sewn up. I would be surprised if they don't come out of this draft with at least one, if not 2 members of the secondary, whether it be a nickel corner, outside corner, definitely a safety position. And then I think the O-line, it could be maybe it's addressing the tackle position, but I think strengthening the interior, especially kind of longer term, which we've seen a lot of teams do, kind of draft someone, a guard, a center in round 2 or 3. Maybe they're a guy that doesn't start, year 1, but you want to evaluate that player. I think that's still a big position of need for them. And then receiver, I think they have to address the receiver position. Day 2 would be a great time. This isn't an outstanding receiver class, but it's pretty good. And I think having Brian Thomas gives you the luxury of maybe replacing Christian Kirk and taking a slot receiver that other teams are passing on because they don't need a slot guy. I think there's a lot of possibility for value at the receiver position in this one.
Final moments, Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. The interesting thing for Jacksonville, Shane, is they're sitting behind New England. And New England's kind of the team in this draft that people are going a lot of different ways on mocks. I've seen Travis Hunter mock there. I've seen Mason Graham mock there. I've even seen some offensive linemen mock there. Is Vrabel holding a lot of the cards to the chest right now? I mean, what are you hearing out of New England?
I think he is, because I think they have so many needs right now that there's not a clear, this is the way that we have to go. This is the way that we are going. I think rightfully so, the kind of wide receiver talk at 4 has died down. They've invested a lot of free agency into that defense. That's how Vrabel likes to build his team. So I think Mason Graham does make a lot of sense. I mean, that could be where he goes off the board and it kind of breaks the Jaguars' hearts if that's their top target. But Vrabel likes to build from the trenches outward too. So I do think if we see, Armin Membo, who had a great offseason, great combine, I think it'd certainly be in play to be the right tackle, will be an interior lineman for them. So I don't know quite yet. And a lot's going to depend on, like you said, do we just get Cam Ward at 1? Do the Giants take Shedeur Sanders? Does that mean that the Patriots get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter? If that's the case, I think either one of those guys would be tough to pass up.
Shane, final question. Probably the worst case scenario for Jacksonville would be Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Mason Graham all going in the top 4. Certainly conceivable if Shedeur Sanders doesn't. If that plays out on draft night, Ward's gone, Hunter's gone, Graham is gone, and Carter is gone. And in our scenario, Jacksonville cannot trade back. Who would be the 5th pick, who's worthy of the 5th pick, in your opinion?
I think then you turn to the offensive line. I think Membo out of Missouri, who I've talked about a couple times here, gives you flexibility to be, he obviously would draft him 5. He's going to be an offensive tackle. But if he has played guard, he has played tackle, he's super athletic, held up in the SEC against these top pass rushers. I think he's a player you could bring in, plug in at left tackle, play him a guard down the line if you need to. I think that type of versatility would be really intriguing and fit the Jaguars well.
Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. Shane, what can people look forward to when they head on over to the website?
Yeah, we have a free rookie guide of skill positions. So our top 50 players at all the skill positions are on there, and that'll be expanding to 100 here in the next week or two. So go to Draft Sharks, pop in your email, you get a free rookie draft guide, and has everything you need.
Shane, I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
No, thanks so much.
Dan Hicken.
You ever reach a point in your life where you say to yourself, this is the best I'm ever going to look, the best I'm ever going to feel, the best I'm ever going to do, and it ain't that great?
Jeff Prosser.
It builds character. It did in my case.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org. Jacksonville.org.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Getting a pool? David Garrard here. I just did. But before they dug, I called Clearwater Irrigation, and they capped off all my sprinkler lines so the pool company could just dig away.
Then when your pool's finished, we'll install your sprinkler system back to full coverage.
And now my backyard oasis is getting watered beautifully.
And maybe then, Dave, I could take another quick dip.
Bigger swimming trunks, John. Much bigger.
Clearwater Irrigation.
And drainage, too.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
Every morning that you wake up in a pest-free home is a good morning. And with Florida Pest Control's Pest-Free 365 service, you can. It's more than just a pest control or preventative maintenance plan. It's Florida Pest Control's promise that we'll be there providing pest-free living for your family all year long. And right now, our initial pest service is just $99. To learn more about our Pest-Free 365 service and to schedule your $99 initial pest service, visit flapest.com today.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock. We're at halftime. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We got a little drama brewing in the NCAA tournament in the South region, the Sweet 16. 6-seed Ole Miss, 2-seed Michigan State. We got 5:40 to go, and we are deadlocked, 55-55. I'll say this about Ole Miss. They were under the radar this year because everybody was talking about Florida and Alabama and Auburn and Tennessee and Texas A&M and Kentucky and Mississippi State and go on down the line. Ole Miss very quietly just went about their business in the SEC, put together a pretty good season, beat North Carolina in round 1, beat Iowa State in round of 32, and now we got 5.5 to go, and they're deadlocked with Michigan State. Denmark, this is going to be a really, really good ending. I still side with the Spartans here, but Ole Miss showing a lot here in this ball game.
Yeah, most of the game, Michigan State, like their offense, they've really struggled to put the ball in the hoop, and Ole Miss has gotten a lot of easy baskets. Michigan State went on a run here in the last couple of minutes to tie the game. They were down like 10 at one point. So I'm sure this will come down to free throws at the very end, and most of these games in the tournament have not been exciting. I know we had a thriller last night, but hopefully we get one, maybe two of these games be good for the day.
I was fired up about Tennessee and Kentucky, and right now it's just not a lot to get fired up about. 16 minutes to go. Tennessee up 47-32. And quite frankly, Kentucky's probably lucky that it's that close. Boy, Tennessee's flipped a switch, man. Since the SEC tournament final loss to Florida, they are playing very, very well. But that goes back to what I was talking about with the Gators, right? Everybody was mad about being the 4th 1 seed and getting sent to San Francisco. Well, look on the other side of the bracket. Alabama has to play Duke tomorrow, or if you could say Duke has to play Alabama tomorrow. The winner of that game in the Final Four looks like they're going to play the winner of Tennessee and either Houston or Purdue. The right side of the bracket is brutal. Florida's on the left side of the bracket, where if they beat Texas Tech, they're going to play the winner of Auburn, Michigan, Michigan State, and Ole Miss. So, again, I know people were upset about being the 4th number 1. I think it's going to work out in the end for the Gators. Speaking of the Gators, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, joins me at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour as we continue the conversation about Florida, about Todd Golden, about the Elite Eight matchup. Again, Florida looking to go to their 6th Final Four all time. You got 1994, you got 2000, right? The 94 team lost to Duke in the national semifinal. The 2000 team lost to Michigan State in the championship game. Then, of course, the 05, 06, 06, 07 teams won back-to-back titles. Florida got back in 14, only to lose to UConn. They're looking to get to their 6th Final Four. It would be their first in a decade. And all they have to do is beat Texas Tech tomorrow night in San Francisco. If I were to tell Gator fans back on Halloween that all you're going to have to do on the 29th day of March is beat Texas Tech in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four, how many of you would have believed me? Yeah, it's been a great year for Todd Golden and the Gators. And as I told you guys back in hour number 1, I have very little trepidation about this game from a Florida perspective. I think Florida wins the game. And quite frankly, I'm not sure it's really close tomorrow night. And I hope that doesn't bite me, because I usually don't go that much out on a limb in a positive way. I just look at Florida. They haven't really even strung a good game together yet, and they're in the Elite Eight. They're due for a breakout performance, and I got a bad feeling for Texas Tech that it's probably going to come tomorrow night. So I will take the Gators. And then when it comes to Duke, Alabama, Denmark, you're all in on the Blue Devils tomorrow. And look, I'm not saying Duke's not going to win. I picked Duke to win and go to the Final Four. But, man, Alabama, that's going to be a tough game for Duke. I look at Duke last night. They might have got lucky to get by Arizona. You got to be careful if you're Duke. Now, the problem is Alabama's not going to shoot it that well again like they did last night. And they probably know that. So I wonder what that kind of mental block will be going in. But I'm fascinated by Duke, Alabama tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, everybody's going to buy Alabama and, ride that train because of how hot they got. I mean, BYU was ranked 250th against the 3 in the country, and Duke is in the top 30. So I think Duke is going to play a lot better than they did a night ago. And I think Duke, the spread is 7. I think Duke wins by 10 tomorrow.
As we do. Oh, you like Duke big. Or who do you like? So you like Florida, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
I think the same. I think both games are going to be about the same. Both Florida and Duke win comfortably tomorrow.
And then who are the other 2 Final Four teams you have?
I have Florida, Duke in the title, and then I had Michigan State and the other one, Houston.
Wow. So you, I think I still have 7 of my 8 Elite Eight, which is pretty good.
Same here.
I had 11 of my Sweet 16. So I'm not doing well like overall, but from my standards, I'm not all that bad. But we got a lot to come up here in the 9 o'clock hour. Again, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com down in Gainesville joins us at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report and Forbes. Let's talk a little NBA playoff picture. And Brian's covered the league for a while. I want to ask him about what LeBron James told Pat McAfee earlier this week about negative coverage of the league from the media that covers the NBA. What does Brian Toporek think about that? What does he think about the whole LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith spectacle that's been? We'll talk about all of that next right here on Hacker After Dark.
Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
The Gators elevate to the Elite Eight. Florida, Texas Tech. Saturday at 6 on 1010 AM.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Chevrolet, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. That's why we're proud to offer lifetime warranties and lifetime customer service. At Beaver Chevrolet, we're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where we're ready to give you a peace of mind for a lifetime.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Struggling with ED? Now Riddle Wellness has a solution that works. You've heard of PRP treatments for joint pain relief. That same technology is now available with the P-Shot, a non-surgical treatment for ED. Using your body's natural power, the P-Shot helps restore function naturally. No pills, no downtime, just results. Schedule a free consultation at elevatejacksonville.com and learn what the P-Shot can do for you. Riddle Wellness, your health, your confidence totally restored. Visit elevatejacksonville.com.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, Rural Golf Village, and the Beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Me Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
This is Hayes Cartline for Physician Guided Weight Loss. I'll tell you, this program works. I'm losing weight. I've got more energy. So my friend started the program a few weeks ago, and she's already seeing results.
That's right, Hayes. I just had my first month weigh-in, and I'm down 11 pounds. The food noise in my head is gone, and I just feel good. Plus, I have had no side effects.
Now's the time to do something that works. Start with Physician Guided Weight Loss, 257-4344, or visit pgweightloss.com.
Every morning that you wake up in a pest-free home is a good morning. And with Florida Pest Control's Pest-Free 365 service, you can. It's more than just a pest control or preventative maintenance plan. It's Florida Pest Control's promise that we'll be there providing pest-free living for your family all year long. And right now, our initial pest service is just $99. To learn more about our Pest-Free 365 service and to schedule your $99 initial pest service, visit flapest.com today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, we've been so caught up in March Madness with Florida making their run and everything going on the college hardwood. You look at the NBA hardwood, and we are, 2.5 weeks away from the NBA playoffs, at least the play-in tournament. That appears to be where Orlando is headed. There's a lot to get into in the NBA, and with that, one of our guys is Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report and Forbes, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Brian, we're good. Thank you for the time. And all right, before we talk about the utter craziness, maybe, of the Bulls-Lakers finish from last night. The Los Angeles Lakers made some news earlier this week with LeBron James going on the Pat McAfee show and kind of airing all sorts of dirty laundry about sports broadcasters and other such things. What's been the reaction around the league to LeBron going on McAfee and having that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's for all of the crap that LeBron has taken over the years, most specifically from Skip Bayless, but earlier this year it was Stephen A. Smith coming after his son Bronny. There was the confrontation a couple weeks ago at the Lakers game between LeBron and Stephen A. Smith. So I'm sure in some part this all feels very long overdue, and it's honestly kind of remarkable that LeBron has largely bit his tongue this long. But I don't really blame him for feeling this way. And I know even Adam Silver was saying this the other day, kind of bemoaning the state of NBA coverage and how, you compare it to the NFL where it's mostly celebratory of the game, whereas a lot of NBA coverage leans more into the drama and negativity than it does celebrating these guys for their amazing accomplishments on the court. So I would imagine, I don't know if a lot of players have come out publicly and supported LeBron. I know when this happened originally, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony had a podcast where they were talking about it, and they, said look, as a father, we understand why he feels this way, why he's so protective of Bronny in particular. I would imagine a lot of people around the league are quietly pretty happy about LeBron clapping back the way he did.
I mean, you live in this world as an NBA reporter. Why do you think the coverage can be so negative at times?
I think that, all of these businesses are focused on one thing, and it's drawing attention, drawing clicks, drawing views, whatever the case may be. And unfortunately, negativity tends to sell more than positivity. There are a lot of really sharp NBA minds covering this game that, do incredible X's and O's breakdowns and things along of that nature. And, I work in one of these companies. I can tell you, the stuff around free agency and trade drama that just tends to draw more eyeballs than these like thorough breakdowns that really appeal more to like the hardcore NBA fans, but do not have quite the same like wider audience. So I think, ESPN, Fox Sports, all these companies are just trying to get people to engage with their content as much as possible. And this is the formula they've found that works. So what I would say to NBA fans who want to see that change, stop interacting with that content. Stop watching it. Stop quote tweeting it. Stop dunking on it on Twitter. Celebrate the content that you want to see. Promote that stuff. And then the companies producing it, that will send a positive message to them, and they will be encouraged to continue producing more of that stuff. I think, like NBA fans, unfortunately, are not blameless in this situation because these companies are just reacting to the content that fans are engaging with.
Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report, and Forbes with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. What a week for the Lakers and LeBron. He does the McAfee show. Then he has a game winner against Indiana. And then last night, not to belabor this because we got other things to get into, but that might be the craziest ending to an NBA regular season game in a long time. For people that missed it, the Bulls and the Lakers in the last 12 seconds, Chicago's down, I think, 2. They steal an inbound pass and drill a 3. The Lakers come right back and score to go up with 3 seconds to go. Chicago's out of timeouts. And Josh Giddey hits like a 46-footer at the buzzer to win it. I mean, that was absolute insanity in Chicago last night.
Yeah. Famed shooter Josh Giddey hitting a 46-footer. It was after I think they're down 3, and he like completely bricked the floater over LeBron. It seemed like that was going to be game right there. And then, all this. Truly the wildest ending I've seen in quite some time. Honestly, kudos to the Bulls, man. Like, they easily, when they trade Zach LaVine at the deadline, it seemed like they were waving the white flag on the season. It seemed like they might be trying to join the tank race with all these other terrible Eastern Conference teams. But unfortunately, they didn't go nearly far enough. They underestimated how bad some of the teams in the East were going to get. So they've kind of fallen into the 10 seed by default. But Kobe White and Josh Giddey have both been playing out of their minds since the All-Star break. And, I think the Bulls now, you look at them and, like, there's a chance that they could knock off. Like, it's going to be Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, and the Bulls in some order in the play-in tournament. And right now, the Bulls are playing better, arguably, than any of those teams. So there's a real chance they sneak into the playoffs. They probably end up facing Cleveland in the first round, probably get destroyed, but it's a testament to them for not letting go of the rope when a lot of other teams around the league certainly have over the past few weeks.
Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report, and Forbes. This brings me to my sad part of this interview, which is my Orlando Magic. Brian, there was so much hope and promise after a 47-win season last year. And I get injuries, right? I mean, injuries have crippled their season, so you have to include that here. But it's not a disaster, but it is a failure this year. They're going to get in the play-in tournament because the bottom 5 teams in the East are absolutely atrocious. and I don't know if they even get out of the play-in tournament. At this point, honestly, and this is a sad place to be as a fan, to me, the sooner the season's over, the better. Just because they got to figure it out this summer. Because if they don't figure it out this summer, Brian, heads are going to start rolling mid-season next year.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is just so bad. They just, Paolo has been incredible. Franz has been great. But other than those two guys, without Jalen Suggs there, they just do not have the dynamic guard play that they need on a night-to-night basis. And, you were hoping for more of a breakout from Anthony Black. It hasn't happened yet. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been a disappointment. So that's what I think they really need to figure out this summer, whether it's a draft pick. They're not going to have a ton of money in free agencies, just some version of the mid-level exception. So that's probably not going to get them a major upgrade through that route. So, do they start to consider a big trade? I know Anthony Simons of the Portland Trailblazers has been a popular idea thrown around for the Magic. But, yeah, I think this season it really kind of underscored how reliant they were on Jalen Suggs for any sort of backcourt production. And you just can't be, you can't have your season completely fall apart if one guy gets hurt. So they need to find an insurance policy, or they need to find a complement to him in the backcourt that can, beef up the scoring punch so it's not all just on Paolo and Franz.
Well, Franz signed a major extension last year. He's not going anywhere. Paolo's going to sign a major extension, one would think, this offseason. But we've seen this song and dance before in Orlando where Shaq and Dwight Howard ultimately. Look, is there a chance Paolo gets pissed about this and says, hey, you better do something now or I'm going to take my talents elsewhere?
I think it's too early to really start worrying about that. I can't think of the last big name player who had, a $200 million extension on the table that said, no, I'm going to turn that down and try to force my way out. If anything, he'll sign the extension, give them another year, 2 years, 3 years. And then once you get like a year or two away from that extension being up and him being able to hit free agency again, that's usually the danger zone. I mean, we saw it with De'Aaron Fox this year in Sacramento. Like, he's 2 years away from becoming a free agent, started sending some signals like, hey, let's figure out the plan here. And then once they didn't have a clear plan, he's like, okay, well, might be time for us to explore other options. So I think Paolo and Franz, I would feel comfortable that they're going to be there next year, the year after that. But yeah, I think you're right that they need to be aware that nothing is forever in the NBA. And if you stagnate, that does lead to some player frustration down the line.
You look at the playoffs, and we'll hopefully have you back on right about the start of the playoffs or maybe in the middle of the first round. I mean, the way it's looking right now, everybody knows in the East it's going to be Cleveland and Boston. The Damian Lillard injury situation in Milwaukee, the Knicks look like they're beginning to play a little better. What intrigues you about the Eastern Conference first round right now?
I think the Pacers, they're really the team that I could see breaking into that. Like, if one of Cleveland or Boston does not make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think is fairly unlikely, those two are going to be the clear favorites first round and second round, assuming health. As you said, the Milwaukee thing with Dame out, I know they say he's going to come back this year, but I'm skeptical of that. So I think they're basically dead in the water at this point. The Knicks, I just don't totally buy. I mean, we'll see, but I think they'll be a pretty clear underdog to either Boston or Milwaukee if they even survive their first round series. But Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton started the season off slow, but has really started to look like Tyrese Halliburton again. I think last night was the first time he didn't have a double-double in like 11 or 12 games. And, they scored 162 points against the Wizards, even though they stopped, literally were taking half-court violations with a minute left in that game. So their offense is just sensational. I mean, they proved last year they can go on a deep run. So I'm intrigued to see how they follow up what they did last year in the playoffs this year, and if they can crash the inevitable Boston-Cleveland showdown in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, what did I see? The Pacers scored 162 points last night. Yeah. I mean, good grief. Terrific defense there by the Washington Wizards. Final moments, Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report, and Forbes. Same question in the West, Brian. It's like a log jam between seeds 2 through 7 or 8. Does any of it matter? Is anybody going to beat Oklahoma City in a 7-game series?
Oklahoma City is going to be the favorite, but I mean, I think a lot of this is going to be matchup dependent. So it'll be really interesting to see how the seedings shake out, because I think Memphis and Houston are going to be up there, but I don't know that anyone has a ton of faith in them. I think if the Timberwolves could maybe beat them, the Nuggets could definitely beat either one of them. The Lakers could potentially beat one of them. The Golden State Warriors have looked fantastic since acquiring Jimmy Butler, and they're going to be maybe a 6, maybe a 7 seed. The Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is looking like Kawhi Leonard again. Could they be a dark horse in the West? So that's, I think, the interesting thing. Everyone is ready to pencil OKC into the Western Conference Finals, but I have zero clue who is going to be the other team in that bracket facing them. You could tell me it's one of 6 or 7 teams, and I would believe you.
I love the NBA playoffs. The good thing is we get about 2.5 months of NBA playoff action. The regular season ends in a couple of weeks. We won't crown a champion until June, but I'm not going to complain about it. I love every minute of it. Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report, and Forbes. Brian, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, Bleacher Report, Forbes, what you have coming out in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, I just put up something on Forbes today about 2025 free agency. I hope you guys don't like free agency because it's going to be kind of a dud this year, but should potentially lead to some exciting trade activity. So there's that. And I'm doing a little bit of freelance work for Fansided. So next week I have a fun piece coming out on the Mickey Mouse March All-Stars. So guys who have come out of nowhere to put together a amazing late season stretch. We actually mentioned a couple of them on the show already. So check that out. I think it'll be out next Tuesday on Fansided.
Brian, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. Really, really appreciate it, man.
Of course, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Your home for the best Jags coverage.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio, and 92.5 FM.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window
World,
simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
The month of March makes us mad.
This is mass madness, you maniacs!
And we love it.
Got a 3!
Experience the madness with 1010XL.
Served up hot by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Florida Pest Control.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting!
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. Johns Middle School Athletic Association. Spring pickleball, tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? Hurry, time is running out. March is almost over. You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Sign up at sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn?
TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Florida Gators defeat the Maryland Terrapins in the Sweet 16, 87-71. They play tomorrow night in the Elite Eight against Texas Tech out in San Francisco. The winner of that game advances to San Antonio next weekend and the Final Four. Let's talk about this Florida basketball team, now just 3 wins away from their 3rd national championship. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, one of our guys in Gainesville, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Andrew, appreciate the time, man. How are you?
I'm good, and man, we were close to having an all-SEC matchup, and I was pretty pumped about it. But how cool is it? 3 away, man. Ryan, you've done this as long as I have, probably longer. I don't know. It's been a long time since we got to celebrate a national title and see that, and it's cool. I mean, when you do this long enough, you want to see a team win a title.
Yeah, 1010XL, we opened our doors 18 years ago because it was the Monday of the Florida-Ohio State national championship game in college basketball. And that was our first day on the air. And now here we are 18 years later, and the Gators find themselves 1 win away from the Final Four. Andrew, I knew this game was over at halftime last night because I'm not sure Florida could have played any worse. Alex Condon gets hurt. Hand-Lockton has 3 fouls in about 30 seconds. The Gators have 13 turnovers. And despite all that, they still had the lead at halftime. And I said, well, look, Florida's not going to play that bad in the second half. And they obviously didn't. They won the game going away, and now they get Texas Tech tomorrow night.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird game, I mean, Walter Clayton, he was almost playing second fiddle to everybody. It was one of those games where I guess he just didn't feel it. And, he was willing to let Aberdeen take the big shot. He was willing to let Richard and Martin take the big shot. And, it's a game that shows how deep this basketball team is. I mean, Condon goes out. Most teams, their big man goes out who's done as well as Condon has, and things don't go well. But it just picked right up. And, I think that's the big thing about this team is they're 9 to 10 deep. They're 4 deep inside. And, obviously you have a pecking order in there, but you don't see much of a drop-off, especially on the boards and on the defensive side of the ball. You don't see much of a drop-off. I mean, I think if you looked around the country, Thomas Houck and Michael Hand-Lockton would be starting for most teams, which Hand-Lockton would be starting if he hadn't redshirted. But then you put in Chinaloo, he starts for most teams. So it's a well-balanced team. Like you said, they didn't play as well as you wanted to out of the first half, but then they responded really well. And, they advanced. And March Madness is crazy. Just advance. That's all that matters.
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, you mentioned Denzel Aberdeen. Now, he's going to be one of the dudes next year when Will Richard, Elijah Martin, and Walter Clayton depart. But he was a dude last night. I mean, I thought Denzel Aberdeen, maybe the most unheralded guy on the team, maybe the most underappreciated guy on the team. But man alive, Andrew, when he's on, he is a terrific basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to some of the games the regular season this year, and the Auburn game comes to mind, the Mississippi State game comes to mind when Martin's out. He made some big shots in those games as well. You go back to this game last night, and he hit some threes that were some logo threes. I mean, overall, I mean, Aberdeen's a player, and I think everybody thinks, oh, Clayton's out or Martin's out or Richard's out, we can take it easy a little bit. Now you better not, because Aberdeen's either going to pull up and shoot, or he's going to drive to the basket and can make it. And, I think the biggest thing for Denzel, too, is I think he's done really well on the defensive side of the ball as well. And, I hope, and obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves, I hope Denzel has a great year next year, because he's a guy who's earned his stripes to be a starter.
He had a lot of opportunities to leave, chose not to. He's getting big minutes now, and he'll be the guy in the backcourt next year for the Florida Gators. Another guy, Ruben Chinelu, is another guy as well. 10 points, 8 rebounds last night. Look, we talk a lot about Condon and Halk and even Hanlockton coming back off the injury, but Chinelu's been so good the entire year. And I got to tell you, Andrew, I knew nothing about this guy coming in from Washington State, but I imagine the people up in Pullman, Washington, got to be scratching their head, because Chinelu was not this last year.
No, I mean, and even at the beginning of the year, if you go back to some of those non-conference games in November, he looked out of place on the offensive side of the ball. And they have worked with him. The coaching staff has really worked with him on the little baby hook, and just being able to score on the block and inside, and and I always defensively, that's kind of what he was known for. But when you're able to get 10 points from him, and you're able to get the offensive rebounds and putbacks that he's getting, that's such a huge plus. And again, you're looking at a guy that hits guard. He's a big body. And again, that was a major pickup, and a guy that I will say the same, I wasn't very familiar with. I had to do some research when he signed with Florida, and I wasn't too familiar with him. And I think him and Hout, the rebounds they provided in that game last night were massive. I mean, I think it was 19 together, the two combined for. I mean, massive rebounds between those two guys.
A couple more for Andrew Spivey of GatorCountry.com. You talk about Florida. They win the game last night, Andrew, by 16. Alex Condon doesn't play for like 17 minutes consecutively because of the injury between the first half and the second half. Walter Clayton made 2 field goals. He made 2 field goals the entire game. You could argue Condon and Clayton are their 2 best players. They got very little from both guys, relatively speaking, from what they're used to getting. And they still absolutely destroyed a Maryland team that was 14-6 in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to that depth. I mean, Aberdeen, Will Richard, and I think that was a big one for Will. Kind of struggled the first 2 games a little bit. Finally, starting to kind of fill himself again. And, if Florida's going to do what they want to do, and that's cut down the nets in San Antonio, about a week from now, a week and a half from now, it's going to be because of Will Richard being able to help this team score. And, to see him get some points and Hout and Ruben get some points as well, and Aberdeen just shows the depth. And I mean, obviously Walter Clayton's not going to be quiet through the rest of the tournament. Elijah Martin's going to have another big game. Condon's going to have another big game, and that's what's scary for teams going forward. And if I'm Texas Tech, I'm preparing for Florida to have a big night offensively from their guards and Condon tomorrow night.
Well, I think that's the most encouraging thing. I mean, there are a lot of encouraging things. One of the most is I don't think Florida has played near as well as they're capable of. I mean, Norfolk State, you go through the motions. That is what it is, a 1 versus 16. I thought, quite frankly, UConn outplayed Florida for a majority of the game last Sunday. Florida really turned it up in the last 3 minutes and did enough to get out of there with a win. And then in the first half last night, like we said, I mean, it was bad at times. The ball security was atrocious. They played probably their best half of the tournament in the second half last night. But based on what we've seen, particularly in the SEC tournament, the game at Auburn, the game at Alabama in the regular season, Andrew, this team is capable of so much more. And yet here they are in the Elite Eight without playing near as well as they can.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the one knock on this team a little bit is, you go back to that Missouri game in the regular season. You go back to that Georgia game where I don't want to say they're overlooking an opponent, but they're definitely maybe not taking it as, intense as they need to be. And I think that is the one thing about this team is, when they see Texas Tech and then, going to the Final Four, hopefully, I think they'll be ready. And, I think they'll be, see that and understand that as well. But I'm like you, I don't think they've played near as well as they can. And that's good and bad. That's good because you know what they're capable of. It's bad because you'd like to see a full half. But this is a team that's really, really good and a team that, at any moment can turn it on and just absolutely dominate on both sides of the ball. And I think that that's going to be the case against Texas Tech. I really hope that's going to be the case against Texas Tech and, see Walter Clayton and those guys, have the day that we know they can have. And again, I think that it's a little bit of okay, we just got through the SEC stretch. That was tough. These guys aren't as good as the SEC stretch. Maybe we can sleepwalk a little bit. And, part of March Madness is surviving, and they survived.
Andrew, you guys at Gator Country do a terrific job covering that athletic program. You've done so for years. I mean, this Florida team is one win away from the Final Four. It would be the 6th Final Four in program history. I mean, if I would have told you this back on Halloween, that this team is one win over Texas Tech away from going to the Final Four, I mean, what would you have thought at that point?
Probably you were crazy. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that Colorado game, still kind of lurks in the back of your mind from last year. Some of those games where they just look bad in those games. And then, you kind of have that little bit of a game against Kentucky to start the SEC stretch. And it's like, all right, was non-conference just bad opponents? And, if you listen to some of the pundits and the people who, think they know basketball, they weren't as high on Florida heading into conference play, and they just kept on going. And I seen a post from Elijah Martin, and it was a post of where all these guys kind of came from throughout. And it's a bunch of guys who came from a lot of places that were not high powered programs when you talk about Will Richard and Martin and those guys. So to see the team bond and come together, it just shows how good they are as a team. I don't know that any of these guys are superstars outside of Clayton, but they play really good as a team, and they understand what they want to do on both sides of the ball that really help them. And again, they've bought in defensively, and they're a really good offensive team. And, hopefully the 3 ball's falling tomorrow night because Texas Tech didn't do a good job at guarding it against Arkansas.
Final moments, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, I never, ever do this, and this might be the kiss of death, and I will take full blame and responsibility if it is. I never jump too far ahead, and I know everything in my being is telling me there's only 12 teams left at the time you and I are talking. There'll be 8 left after the end of tonight. And obviously, Florida is playing a very, very good, accomplished Texas Tech team, a Texas Tech team that just came back from a huge deficit to knock out John Calipari and Arkansas. And as much as my mind is telling me that, I'm going with what my eyes are telling me. I think Florida might beat them mercifully tomorrow night. I think the way this Gator team is playing, I'm not sure if this is a game with 5 minutes to go tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And again, as much as I hate to say that, because I think that they have one of those big 90 plus point games. I just do. When you look at Texas Tech, Arkansas could have threes all day long. They just couldn't hit anything. And if you give this team the three ball like they are, they're going to hit it more often than not. And, again, they may score 50 tomorrow because I'm saying that, but I do think Florida is a much better team than Texas Tech. When you look at Texas Tech's resume, I think it was 2 top 25 wins since December. I mean, they haven't been tested. And, listen, Arkansas, great story, great run. Arkansas was the 9th best team, 10th best team in the SEC, and they were up 16 points. I just think Florida is the better team here. Hopefully they're not thinking that and they're able to go in and play their game. But I really think this is going to be a game that's a complete game for this team. They know what's on the line. Trip to San Antonio in the Final Four. I mean, in sports, Final Four, that's like the World Series.
The story right now is that Florida is 1 win away from the Final Four. You'll hear the Texas Tech-Florida game right here tomorrow night on 1010 XL beginning right about 6 o'clock. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, I really appreciate the time, pal. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. I'm hoping we're previewing Final Four, my friend.
And thank you to Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark as Florida defeats Maryland one night ago. The Gators now in the Elite Eight as they will take on Texas Tech tomorrow night, 6:09 tip Eastern Time in San Francisco for the right to go to the Final Four in San Antonio. What a year it has been for Florida, 33 wins on the year. Can they get one more to go to the Final Four in San Antonio? We'll find out tomorrow night. Texas Tech is a team that was down 16 last night, basically with 10 minutes to go to Arkansas. Came all the way back to win in overtime. Great win for Texas Tech. A great comeback for Texas Tech. Absolutely no question about that. But how much emotionally did that take out of the Red Raiders to turn right back around in less than 24 hours from now and play one of the best teams in the entire country? Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Friday evening and a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Always appreciate Andrew's time. Thank you to Brian Toporek of Bleacher Report and Forbes talking a little NBA with us. I also thought it was interesting to get Brian's take, a guy that's covered the league for a while, on the whole LeBron James, Pat McAfee interview. I thought some of what he said, honestly, was pretty enlightening about the way the league is covered from a guy who does it every day for a living. So we appreciate Brian joining us tonight. Shane Hallam of Draft Sharks. He's been one of my draft guys for years. Always appreciate Shane's perspective as we are now just 27 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun, who is out in San Francisco covering the Florida Gators, and we certainly appreciate Kevin taking time out from his busy schedule on the West Coast to join us here tonight on Hacker After Dark. Now, next week's going to be a little interesting. You're still going to get Hacker After Dark every night, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10, but I will also be joining Hayes Carline on the Frangie Show from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock, so it's a double, Hacker times 2, if you will. I'll be with you every day from 4 to 6 with Hayes Carline, and we'll still have Hacker After Dark for you from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So we do hope you join us for both programs next week here on 1010XL. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending not only your Friday night with us, but your entire week with us here on Hacker After Dark. As we always tell you, and we cannot possibly tell you enough, how much we absolutely appreciate it. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Friday evening and a fantastic weekend. And I will talk to you not only on Hacker After Dark next week, but also on the Frangie Show as I join Hayes Carline beginning Monday at 4 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
5, 4, 3, come on! 2.
Number 1 in the 9